Hello and welcome to Tim Guide to Affliction Warlocks in the Mr. Panda 5.3. So we're going to start off with the talents. First talent, Soul Leech. You grant you and your pet a shadowy shield that absorbs X amount of damage dealt for 15 seconds. It is a nice little shield and gets you out of a lot of trouble. Level 30 talent. I always use Mortal Coil. I do swap sometimes with Shadowy Fury depending on crowd control for ads, but most of the time I use Mortal Coil. The little health booster is nice and can get you out of trouble every now and again. For level 45, I use Sacrificial Pact. Some people prefer to use Dark Bargain, but I don't believe in it. I prefer Sacrificial Pact, especially when used with Grimmer Supremacy. For the next talent I use Burning Rush or Unbound Will. It's 50-50 between these depending on the boss encounter. Unbound Will can get you out of a lot of trouble in dispels that need to be done quickly if your healers are a little bit slow at dispelling you or anything similar. Unbound Will is the one to take. Burning Rush for such fights as you need a lot of movement speed, like Jinkun on these pushback. For the level 75 talent, I use Grimmer Supremacy. I use this because Simcraft has basically worked out that Grimmer Supremacy does give you a slight DPS increase compared to the others. A level 90 talent, I always use Killjaden's Cunning, unless in a different spec I'd use Manamith Fury. But Killjaden's Cunning, it's a nice talent to have. You shouldn't be losing hardly any DPS when using this talent because you can always cast him. You have no excuse. To the Reforging, you want Intellect, then Spell Hit, and then Haste, Mastery, and then Crit. So you want Hit 15%, and we want Haste to 9978 or to 13737. I personally prefer to go for 9978 and then use Mastery Gems for stacking. After this we want Mastery, stack as much as you can, reforge most of your crit into Mastery, and then remaining into Crit or into Haste. Just to explain my add-ons a little bit to you. Tidy Plates, I use this for tracking my dots on multiple targets. After dots, this is probably one of the most important ones that you want for newcomers to Affliction. Basically, Affliction dots, it uses to track refreshing the dots while still using the pandemic rule. I've put here what blue works out, what green works out, and so forth. But this is definitely the add-on to use for Affliction. Next, I use Tell Me When. I use this to track my buffs and my procs, such as Jade Spirit, Trinket procs, Bloodlust, Stormlash, etc. Bartender, I just use to make my bars look sexy. Omni CC, I use to track the duration of my dots that I have left on my target frames. So Tidy Plates will then display the dot above each character, and Omni CC will allow it to count down with a timer on that dot. So they're a nice add-on to use together, so you can always perfectly time your dots. Quartz is a more advanced casting bars. Basically, Quartz is used so you can see the duration of a cast, or to enlarge your bars and move them around wherever you want to keep them. Recount displays damage done and damage per second, and target health percentage is quite important because you want to be tracking when the target is below 20% health so that you can go into your execution phase, which is Drain Soul. When in your execution phase and using Drain Soul, you should be able to keep Haunt up most of the time. But I'll move on to that now. Right, rotation. Single target. You want to apply your cursive elements, apply your dots, your agony, your corruption, and your unstable affliction. Cast Haunt and channel Misfalic Grasp. Refresh dots depending on procs and buffs. Obviously, the more dots, the more empowered you. The more buffs, the more empowered your dots are. So the more, the better. If your dots do come empowered, you want to keep Haunt up during the whole duration of the dots as much as possible. and also you want to be getting rid of your 4th haunt all the time. You don't want to be keeping 4 shards up, because if you get a nightfall proc, you won't regain the shard and it's just a waste of a proc. Then when the target is below 20% HP, use Drained Soul as priority over Misfallic Grasp. This is the execution phase and you should be able to keep Haunt up 90% of the time. For AoE, you cast Soul Burn, then Seed. Apply dots to the other targets with Soul Burn and Soul Swap, because once you've done Soul Burn and Seed, you'll have a lot of corruptions up on multiple targets, which will give you a lot of Nightfall procs, which means more shards, so you can apply your dots using Soul Burn and Soul Swap as much as you want. Then continue to cast seeds on multiple targets, and then reapply dots when they fall off. Simple as that. I'll show you my rotation slightly first. I'll do it slow for you first so that you can understand. First of all, we apply Curse of Elements. Then we apply dots. See, I have the Trinket proc, so I'll reapply my dots. Then I'll keep Haunt up and channel Misfallic Grasp. And it's going to fall, so I'll recast and put Haunt back up again. And that's basically it. Now I'll show you what I can do on multiple targets, so you can see the raid frames, the add-ons working, so you can see basically how I DPS personally. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.